Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Whitney Longnecker, and I am the Director of Study Abroad here at Texas Tech. Thank you very much for being with us today. We are excited to chat with you a little bit about international internships, and I am excited to see so many of you are interested in this unique way to have an international experience. So we will have two presenters, myself as well as Annalise, who is a Texas Tech student just like you, who has participated in an international internship, and she is going to discuss her experience on this type of program here in just a little bit. But before we get started, we do have a couple of housekeeping items. This session will be recorded, so if you do miss something or need to reference back to this at any point, we will send you the recording after the session has been completed. In addition, you will be able to find more information about international internships on our website, including more details about the different experiences that are offered. So please make sure to also visit studyabroad.ttu.edu. That's our website. And like I said, that's where you will be able to find more information if you need. If you do have any questions or comments as the session goes on today, we do have both the chat function as well as the Q&A available to you. So feel free to use either one. It's totally up to you. I'll be monitoring both. And so just know that your questions and comments will be addressed as we go throughout the session. So make sure to make use of those so that way we can answer your questions and make this the most useful and productive session for you. So to get us started, I have already introduced myself, but I'll do so again. Again, my name is Whitney and I work in the Study Abroad office here on campus. And then we also have a student, Annalise, who is joining us. Annalise, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Annalise. I'm a senior in environmental engineering, and this past summer, so summer 2021, I did an internship in Rome, Italy with CEA.
Wonderful, thank you.
Studied abroad in Ireland, but this is about internships, so.
Yes, Annalise is a study abroad rock star and had the opportunity to have two international experiences, but she's right, we'll focus on the international internship for today. And we actually are going to start off with a little bit of information from Annalise. So I'll scoot it ahead to some of the photos that Annalise provided for us. But Annalise, if you want to kick it off today with our session by talking about your experience, that would be wonderful.
Okay, yeah, so I guess the first thing you would have to do is to find a program that you want to go to. I know for like the engineering internships, there's several different programs like API, GE, and CEA, and that's where I went. I went with CEA, and all the programs have different locations. So that really just is dependent upon where you want to go and what your interest is. So that's just, Europe or South America or Asia. It's all just dependent upon like what your interest is and where you want to go. I would also suggest looking into if the internship program offers like a dual credit for classes as well, because at CEA, you could take classes as well as do your internship. So if you needed like academic credit for something, then you could do both. So kind of like to kill two birds with one stone. I personally just did the internship portion because they didn't have any classes that I needed to take. So there was no reason to do the classes, but you can always do those if you're interested. Like when I went to Italy, there was like a wine, like you drink wine, like a wine class, whatever. So people did that just for fun. So after you decided where you want to go, pick your location and apply. And that's just, again, based on your individual interest and then whether or not classes are offered, if that's what you're looking for. Once you're accepted, you go through a series of interviews, basically with just the internship coordinators, and they help you decide what your interests are, what job will best suit your major, etc. So yeah, you don't have to be too worried about the interviews because it's mostly just them trying to get to know you to make sure that, that they can pick the internship that best suits you. And every internship is different. So your individual experience will be completely different than your peers. Some of y'all may work at the same company, some of y'all may not. You may have a traditional internship as like an office setting, or non-traditional, like you work remotely, you work like at someone's home office, or you work on site. For me personally, I just worked with two freelance consultants who had their own company together, and they happened to be husband and wife. So they started the company together, and it was just us three. So we would just go to their house and work on stuff. And I worked remotely as well as I went to their house. And then they also took me on site visits. So it's really just completely dependent upon the company that you work with, and also, what you're trying to look for, what your interests are. And then some of the benefits that I had from, doing this internship abroad was obviously you gain internship experience that will help you to build your resume and to make you a better candidate for internships in the future. It can also help you to understand your interests in the field of work that you want to pursue. I did consulting for environmental remediation. So that kind of was interesting because I hadn't learned too much about it in my classes. So I liked being able to learn about it, with my internship, with my bosses essentially. So that was interesting. I kind of decided I didn't really like consulting as much as I thought I did. So that was nice to kind of, have some experience with that to see, what it was all about. And then obviously, it will help you culturally, gain experience about other countries and how their work styles differ, how the workplace differs. Italy is like very relaxed in their work schedules. Like you can decide to go to work if you need to go a little bit later, that's cool. If you need to stay later or leave early, like they're really just very lenient. So it was really interesting to see that difference in workplace culture, especially if you want to, live abroad for some time or work abroad. It's interesting to, gain that experience to see if that's something that you would be comfortable with, because it is a completely different experience than what you've probably known. And I think that's all I have to say about it, unless you want me to add anything.
That's great. Thank you, Annalise.
You're welcome.
Can you talk a little bit about kind of what your week looked like how many hours a day you worked, how many days a week, things of that nature?
Yeah. So I know with CEA, you basically picked how many hours you wanted to do for the internship program. I picked it was like 120 hours total for 8 weeks. So that ended up being like 15 hours a week, which is basically a part-time job. So, I worked remotely. Some people went to their office, so then that their schedules depended upon like what they decided with their office. Like maybe they came in every other day and then, worked for a few hours. Maybe they came in every day and only worked for a couple hours. So it's just dependent upon, your internship and the company that you go to. My bosses, they were pretty flexible with me. I worked remotely Monday through Thursday, and then on Fridays we would meet at their home office, and then we would go over things together, and they would help explain things to me that I was confused on, help me get started on new projects and things that they wanted me to do. So I would try to work about like 3-ish hours every day, so that that total up to be 15 by the end of the week. And then sometimes, we would go on site visits too. So then sometimes I would meet them and then we would go on a site visit. So I wouldn't really be working. Like I would be, on site, seeing things, doing things, learning how things worked. So yeah, it's basically just, you have to pick the amount of hours that you want to do. I would recommend doing, a smaller amount, because you do want to see the country that you're living in. You do want to explore. You want to also have fun, because that's also what you're there to do. So just keep that in mind. Most of the internships, you are also unpaid. So like in Italy, it's not a thing to pay your interns. So like, regardless of whether or not you're international or like an Italian citizen, you're most likely not going to be paid for your internship. So just keep that in mind as well. But yeah, your work week, it's kind of hard to say, because obviously with COVID, things are a little bit up in the air because a lot of people did work remotely part-time and then partially in person. So it's really just going to be dependent upon what your company is comfortable with and what their protocols are. So
That's great. That's super helpful to help kind of paint a picture of what the day in the life would look like. We do have a question that just came into the chat. Annalise, do you personally notice a difference in recruiters or company having appeal on your resume now that you're able to list this international internship on your resume?
I would say, yeah. I mean, in all my interviews, they definitely mentioned it. They're like, oh, you went did an internship in Italy. How was that? You know, they asked me questions about it. So I think it's definitely something that they notice because it's not something that everyone does. And obviously, it's something that will help you gain work experience as well. And also, you know, if you have to meet that study abroad requirement, that also is like killing two birds with one stone. But yeah, I would say they definitely all noticed it and they definitely all mentioned it and asked me some questions about it. So I say that it was pretty helpful for me, especially since I hadn't had any internship experience prior to this one. So can an international student apply for these programs? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that anybody can apply.
Yes, that is correct. Yep. All students, regardless of whether they are an international student or a US student, can apply for an international internship. And just going back to the previous question, I can speak a little bit from my experience. So when I was in college, I also participated in an international internship and listed it on my resume, just as Annalise has done. And I can also say that it was the first thing that employers or recruiters asked me about when I was in that interview. So for me, it was definitely, I think it kind of acted almost as like kind of groundbreaking because I was able to get that attention and get the recruiters to, you know, pick up my resume and invite me for an interview. But also it was really nice to be able to talk about my study abroad and my international internship as the first thing as part of the interview, because it kind of broke the ice. It was something that was easy for me to talk about, that I enjoyed talking about, and at times made me more comfortable for the tougher interview questions that I was going to get later on as part of that process. So I also saw the personal benefits of having an international internship on my resume when I was a college student as well. There was another question, is there a path in the international internship program for business students? Yes, that's a great question. So Annalise is an engineering student, as she previously mentioned, but international internships are available for students of all academic backgrounds. So it doesn't matter if you're studying business, engineering, hospitality, you know, sociology, whatever it might be, there are internship placements for you. So you don't have to be of just one academic area to have this kind of an experience. Very good. Well, you've heard a little bit from Annalise about her experience and the great opportunity that she had by interning in Rome. Keep those good questions coming. But what I'm going to turn now to is kind of more of the nitty gritty, the logistics, and how you can have this great experience like Annalise has done. So we're going to talk about the application process, scholarships, financial aid, some of those very important details that will help you to have an international internship. But like I said, keep the questions coming and we'll address those as we go throughout the next couple minutes here in the session. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit first about some of the benefits of an international experience. Some of these we've already referenced in just hearing about Annalise's experience, but of course this is an academic experience, and so you will receive academic benefits from participating in an international internship. So we do find that students are able to graduate faster and really kind of deepen their commitment to their academic area by participating in an international internship. Some of our international internships are available in languages other than English. So if you have a proficiency in another language, then this can be another way for you to continue to improve upon those language skills. Although let me say there are plenty of opportunities available in English. So if you don't have those language skills, then that's okay too. The international internships can be completed for academic credit, but we also have some that do not require that you participate in academic credit as well. So if you're really wanting more of just kind of that experience, being able to add this to your resume, get that work experience, we do have some of those programs available, but also if you do need to combine your international internship with academic credit as well, then we have programs that meet those needs too. So I'll talk a little bit more about some of those differences here in a little bit. There are, of course, professional benefits to participating in an international internship, and we've highlighted a few of these already, but this is definitely something that can enhance your resume. It gives you a unique experience that you may need to help you stand out when it comes to getting that first job out of college, applying for graduate school, medical school, whatever your future goals are. So this is something that you can do now in really the immediate future to help set yourself apart and reach your goals, whatever those might be after you graduate from Texas Tech. And then finally, there are personal benefits as well. Some of these can kind of overlap a little bit with some of the workplace or professional benefits that you receive as well. So things like feeling that you're able to communicate more effectively or proficiency. That's a skill that is useful in our everyday lives, but of course is also useful in the workplace and something that your future employer will certainly appreciate as well. So the idea of that communication, self-awareness, becoming more independent, these are all skills that our students feel that they have grown upon or developed further as part of their study abroad experience. So who can intern abroad? Really, this is an opportunity that is available for all Texas Tech students. So like I mentioned before, you don't have to be of a certain academic area, certain academic discipline, things of that nature in order to participate in this type of program. We do have a certain set of eligibility criteria that are specific to all of our study abroad programs, including international internships. So you'll find those on the slide here. So you have to be at least 18 years or older. We do ask that you be a sophomore or second year student by semesters, not credits. And really the reason for that is because we want you to know what it means to be a Red Raider here in the United States before we send you abroad. So if you took, a lot of dual credit or things like that in your high school, that's wonderful. But we do want you to complete at least 2 long semesters on campus before we send you overseas. You do have to have a certain GPA, so it's a 2.0. Our College of Business does ask for a slightly higher GPA for their students, so 2.75 is what they require. Now, let me say that many of our internship programs do have their own set of eligibility criteria, and there are some differences specifically with the GPA. So some of our internship programs do require a higher GPA than what we do in order to participate in an international experience. So we can help you to identify certain programs that are a good fit for you if you do have any concerns about the GPA requirements. And then finally, we ask that our students are in good disciplinary standing with Texas Tech. So no, violations in the dorms, academic probation, things of that nature. There was a question that came up in the chat. So if we were to go through the school for the internship process, would the school help us in finding housing in the country that we go to? So Texas Tech has partnerships with a number of different organizations. You might have heard Annalise reference CEA. That is one of our partners that we utilize for internship placements. So what happens on our internship programs is that students apply initially through Texas Tech, and if they meet these eligibility criteria and are, a good student overall, work on their application, things of that nature, then more than likely they'll be accepted to study abroad by Texas Tech. Then you would work with an organization like CEA or others that I'll introduce you to as part of this session today. And they'll be the ones who will work specifically with you for resume review. They set up the internship or the interviews with potential internship placements, things of that nature. So they have essentially a network of internship placements that they utilize on a frequent basis that they use for Texas Tech students, but also for students all across the United States who are seeking international internships. With that being said, they also do seek new and different placements on a regular basis. So it's not that you're just going to be slotted into this one type of placement if that doesn't work for you. So it really is a process of getting to know you, like Annalise said, getting to know what your goals are, your interests are for your international internship, helping you to perfect your resume and your interviewing skills, and then setting you up with those interviews for the potential internship placements. These organizations like CEA also do provide housing as well as on-site support and different activities, excursions, things of that nature to really kind of provide like a good package for your international internship experience. So it is a very supportive environment. You have many folks who are there to help you, not just with the actual internship placement process, but also with different scenarios and questions and things like that that you might have on site as you begin to work in that particular placement. There was another question, if I want credit for an elective, does it matter what organization I apply to? Not necessarily. So some of our partners that we work with, like CEA, do offer academic credit. Some of them require that you participate in academic credit, whereas others are more flexible. So depending on whether or not you are interested in academic credit, a good thing to do would be to let your study abroad counselor know that, so that way we can help them direct you to programs that meet your goals when it comes to the academic credit side of things. Okay. Let's move ahead. So this is actually a really good connection to that conversation about academic credit. The next topic that we have here is costs. So internships, like Annalise said, are generally unpaid for these international internships. So if you are seeking a paid international internship, I'm just going to be very honest with you and tell you that it is going to be incredibly challenging for you to receive this type of placement. Just as we know and see here in the United States, it can be very challenging for international folks to come here to the United States and receive paid employment. The same is true in other countries around the world. So that's just a reality of this type of an experience. Now, although payment may not be part of the package here when it comes to an international internship, it certainly is still worth it to have this kind of experience on your resume. And like I mentioned, there is the option for academic credit. Academic credit is required in order for you to be eligible for financial aid or scholarships to help pay for your international internship. So if you know already that you will need to utilize financial aid and or scholarships to help pay for your international internship, then you will need to select a program that offers academic credit. So that'll be a very important thing to note when you're talking with your study abroad counselor. That really is just a rule with scholarships and financial aid, is that you have to be enrolled in academic credit to be eligible for those kinds of funding opportunities. So keep that in mind. If you're in a position where you maybe don't need those funding resources, you have enough cash saved up on your own, then wonderful, that's great. And that means that you could select a program that does not offer academic credit, and then all of the costs would really just be out of pocket for you. So keep that in mind. That is a really important difference when you're thinking about, should I do a program with academic credit or should I not do a program with academic credit? Very important to think about there. Now, if you're thinking about also some cost considerations, you'll see that you have other things to think about, like the type of program, the length of program, and location. So we do offer internships during the summer as well as the fall and the spring semesters. So really any time of year you could participate in this type of an experience. We're currently accepting applications for summer and fall study abroad programs, including our international internships, but it's totally fine if you're thinking further ahead. That's great. We're happy that you're doing so. If you're on this call and already thinking about maybe something for next year, it just gives you more time to plan and make sure that you are selecting the right type of program. So this gives you just an overview of some of the different organizations that we work with for our international internships. This is kind of a lot of text, so feel free to take a quick screenshot or a picture of this with your phone so that way you can refer back to it later if you would like to. We work with a number of different organizations that help provide our international internships to our students. So you've already heard Annalise talk a little bit about CEA. This was the organization that she worked with for her placement in Rome, but we also have Global Experiences, CRCC Asia, as well as API. You'll notice that each of these different organizations offers something a little bit different, especially when it comes to location for your internship. So some of you might be thinking, you know what, I really have to go to France, for example. I would love to have an internship in France. I've always wanted to go there, that kind of thing. If you're very location based, then it's worthwhile to have a look and see, okay, well, which programs offer locations and internships in France? So from this particular list, you would find that Global Experiences as well as CEA offers internships in that particular location. Now, some of you might be thinking, you know what, I don't care where I go to have my international internship, but I know that I want to do something in marketing, for example. I'll show you how you can narrow down your internship options by academic discipline here in a little bit. But that's another way that you can think about your internship and what is going to be right for you. So it really just kind of depends on what your goals are for your internship and how you kind of narrow down your choices based on those goals. I'm just going to check the chat here really quickly. Is this session about potential internships for summer 2022 of this year? Yes. If you are interested in an internship for summer of 2022, you're in the right place. However, the information is applicable for future terms as well. We have another question. Can we still qualify for an internship if we are within the last 30 hours of graduating? Yes, but there is some nuances to participating in an international experience within the last 30 hours of your time as a Red Raider. So we would want to have a conversation with you about what that means and work through all of those specifications for the international internship. And that would be true for any study abroad program. There's some nuances to making sure that you graduate on time and participating in a study abroad. Okay. If you're more of a visual person and you want to kind of see where you could have an international internship, this slide gives you a visual representation of the locations that are on offer. So as you can see here, we have several locations throughout Europe as well as South America, a couple in Asia, and then Australia, New Zealand are represented as well. So this really is a great opportunity to try out a new and different location, maybe try something that's off the beaten path a little bit that gives you a unique internship that maybe other students may not have. So I would definitely encourage you to kind of think outside the box and think about locations that maybe are a bit off the beaten path there. We had a question about housing previously, and that is included as part of the internship program. The housing options will vary by program. So you see two examples on the slide here. Some of our students end up staying in residence halls, and an example of that is listed on the slide here. We also have some programs that offer a more apartment style living, and so you see an example of that as well. Annalise, do you want to talk a little bit about what the housing was like on your internship program?
Yeah, of course. So with CEA, they went through a third-party company that did lots of housing for other student organizations as well as CEA. So it was an apartment style. So it really just depended upon what building you lived in because every apartment was different. And all the apartments were located in the same neighborhood. This neighborhood is Prati, which is very close to the Vatican. So it was in a really great location. And obviously, like all my friends were very close by, like a 10-minute walk away. Some were even in the same building as me, but you may not be in the same building as someone It's just, kind of spread out. I know that the CA in Paris is also similar. And, they kind of concentrate you all in one area, but you may not be in the same exact building as somebody else. They also try to put you near their center. So there was like a 10-minute walk from the CEA center from my apartment. So that was nice because we were obviously close by. So when we needed to go there, we could get there very easily. But yeah, it also just depends on what program you go to and where you live, and probably every apartment is going to be really different. So it's hard to say exactly what they'll look like or what they won't look like.
Annalise, were meals included as part of your program, or did you have access to a kitchen to make your meals?
Yeah, so since we lived in an apartment, we had a kitchen, so I would, just buy my own food and make my own food. I guess some other programs will give you or provide food, but that wasn't the case for mine.
When I was in college, I did an internship in China. And so as part of the internship, every day that I worked, they would provide me with lunch. So you might have some benefits like that, but it really just depends on the company that you end up working for or the organization where your internship placement occurs. But there may be some meals provided as part of your internship. We had a question, do we get to choose from the options offered? So I assume this is referencing the housing options, but correct me if I'm wrong. So the housing options will vary by program. Some of the programs will just have one housing option available. And so that's where all of the students end up staying, whereas others will have a couple different options to choose from. So it really just kind of depends on the program as what is available. Will the living quarters be shared with others? Most commonly, yes, although most of our programs do offer single rooms or single like dorms, residence halls, or apartments, but that would be something that you would need to request. So as part of the application process, you will fill out a housing questionnaire that asks you some questions about your preferences, your living style, eating habits, sleeping habits, things of that nature. Some of the rooms or the apartments, you will have a roommate, whereas others, you might all have single bedrooms, and then there's a common space for everybody. So it really just kind of depends, but our partners will utilize that housing questionnaire. So that way, if you do have a roommate, then they're making those matches that make sense based on your preferences. Okay, so how do you find more information about these international internships? So again, like I mentioned previously, our website is just studyabroad.ttu.edu. If you scan the QR code that you see on the screen here, that will also take you to our homepage, which is kind of a screenshot you find of it on our website. On our homepage, if you scroll down just a little bit, there is a button that is specific to international internships. So that will take you to our program search page, which looks like this. So this is an opportunity for you to search just for international internships, or if you're interested in comparing other types of international opportunities, you can also use this very same program options webpage, because you'll find all of our approved programs in this one same place. So if you click on that internship abroad button, it will show you all of the approved international internships that you can participate in as a Texas Tech student. There is also some additional search functionality that you'll see here on that program search page. So if you, for example, know that you only want to do a summer internship, so you just want to narrow it down to summer, you can do that. Or maybe you're interested in a semester, so you can pick the term that works best for you. You can also narrow it down your search by the location. So again, if you know France is the place that I absolutely have to go, you can look for just internships that are in France and see what your options are there. And then finally, there's also a field of study search. So if you maybe don't care so much where you want to go, it's more important for you that you have an internship that is really hyper focused on your academic area. That's perfectly fine as well. You can do a little bit of searching to determine which programs or which locations are best suited for your academic area of interest. So I certainly encourage you to take a little bit of time to play around on this program options webpage, because it is a wealth of information and will show you all of the options that you have available to you as a Texas Tech student. So there are a number of ways that you can help pay for your study abroad experience. I've referenced a few of those previously, but I did want to just draw them out here very intentionally so that way you have an idea of how some of these costs work when it comes to paying for an international internship. So again, this is only applicable if you select a program that offers academic credit in combination with your international internship. So that's the key point to remember there. But after you've gotten through that and selected the correct program, you are eligible to receive financial aid. So if you receive financial aid to be a student here on campus and you use that regularly to pay for your studies here at Texas Tech, that financial aid can travel abroad with you. We offer a number of scholarships, one of which is the Study Abroad Competitive Scholarship, which you can apply for in combination with applying for your study abroad program. Many of the other colleges and departments around campus also offer scholarships that are applicable for a study abroad experience. So for example, the College of Engineering offers a study abroad scholarship, the College of Business does as well. So definitely check within your own college or your academic area because they more than likely have some funding available for you to apply for as well. There are also scholarships available through the organizations that help to sponsor your international internship. So like CEA, they offer scholarships as well for Texas Tech students to participate on their programs. So that's another source of funding for you to consider. And then finally, there are scholarships that are available to students nationwide who are thinking about an international internship or a study abroad experience. So we have a section of our website that is focused just on financial resources. And we also have a webpage that we call our Easy Guide to Study Abroad Scholarships. This is definitely not an exhaustive list of all of the scholarships that are out there for study abroad, but it's a pretty lengthy list, and it's all the scholarships that we know about or that students have previously received to help fund their study abroad experience. So take a look at that list, and I definitely recommend starting early when you're thinking about scholarships for study abroad. Just gives you more time to put together really great applications and be successful in securing that funding. There was a question, do we need to update our FAFSA for a summer program? How would that go about for financial aid? So if you've completed a FAFSA already for this academic year, then the summer is included as part of that. If you did not fill out your FAFSA at all for this school year, you'll want to go ahead and do that. And then that will give you an idea of how much funding may be available for an international experience or just study abroad more generally. We have a contact within the financial aid office. She is a financial aid advisor that is specific to, or that works specifically with students like yourselves who are interested in study abroad. Her name is Nikki Nordell, and I'll drop her email address in the chat here in just a minute, but she is available to work with you or with anyone who is interested in an international experience and wants more information about financial aid. So let me go ahead and put her email address in the chat so that way you have that. And the great thing about Nikki is that she is happy and willing to sit down with you and talk about your specific financial aid situation and what works, what doesn't work, all of those nitty-gritty details. So I definitely recommend reaching out to Nikki if you have specific questions about your financial aid. Also regarding funding, there was a question, has anyone ever been able to use GI Bill benefits through the VA to cover the costs? So there are very specific rules and regulations about how funds from the VA or other sources related to the military can be utilized for study abroad. It very much depends on the type of funding that is received and also the type of program that a student is choosing for their study abroad experience. So what I would recommend, because there is such nuances to this, the funding and how it can be used, I would recommend any students who are wanting to use military benefits, either from themselves or perhaps from a parent that they are utilizing, that they really need to get in touch with the MVP office, the Military and Veterans Programs Office here on campus. We in Study Abroad work very closely with MVP to help students and everyone kind of understand what the benefits can count for and what they can't. So I would recommend starting the conversation with MVP to help get through some of those nuances. Let's see here. Okay, I know we've got questions rolling in. I'm going to go through just a couple of additional slides here, and then we'll address some of these questions. We do have some upcoming dates and deadlines. So if you are interested in having an international internship very soon, as early as this summer, we are accepting applications. Those are due on March the 1st, so a couple of months. However, I would recommend that if you are interested in an international internship, that you start early, because the internship placement process can take some time. And also the internships can be competitive. So if you know that this is an experience that you want to have for the summer or even the coming fall semester, I would definitely encourage you to start your application with the Study Abroad office, and that way that kind of gets the ball rolling. If you're thinking a little bit further ahead, maybe you're wanting, that should say spring of 2023 or beyond. We don't have applications open for those terms quite yet, but we will do so later during this spring semester, and they'll be due in October for the following spring year term. So that kind of gives you an idea of the time frame and how the process works when it comes to your applications. So you've got our contact information here, and I'll just leave this up on the screen as we are continuing to answer questions. But keep those questions rolling in, because I know that there have been many good ones in the chat so far. So let me scroll back here a little bit and make sure that I have got these. Okay, so if a program requires a COVID vaccine, will that also include booster shots? Great question. So we would be remiss without talking about COVID as part of any kind of presentation or conversation at this point. So COVID, as I'm sure you're all aware, has certainly impacted study abroad and the ability to travel internationally greatly. When it comes to vaccines, a number of our partners and the countries that our students are going to participate in their international experience are requiring the vaccine. So while Texas Tech does not require a vaccine to participate in our study abroad programs or be a student more generally on campus, many of our partners do require it in order to participate in the international programs. So that is an important thing to note. If you have any questions about your vaccine status and what that might mean for your participation in an international experience, I think that's a really good conversation to have with your study abroad counselor, because if you're forthcoming with your status, but also any questions or concerns that you have about vaccination, we are more than happy to help direct you in the right direction. Now, when it comes to boosters, more and more of our partners, as well as the countries, the locations that our students are going to, are requiring boosters. So if you're already vaccinated, but you have not yet gotten a booster shot, I would encourage you to do so during this spring semester, because that way you'll just be fully vaccinated and will be able to fully participate in your international experience. So good question there. Are research-based internships also available? And is study abroad research different? Good question. So we do have several different types of study abroad programs. We've talked a lot about international internships. We do also have international research opportunities, service programs, as well as your traditional learn abroad programs, which are probably what you visualize when you think about study abroad. You think about taking classes at a foreign college or university. So all of those are different types of international experiences that our students can participate in as Red Raters. We do have research-based programs, and the process is somewhat similar to our international internships. So for research programs, just like with internships, we work with a number of different organizations, partners, foreign universities that offer research opportunities. And we work with those partners to offer this kind of matchmaking when it comes to the placement process. So we're not expecting students to search, the job boards of Dublin, Ireland, for example, to find their international internship or their research placement. That's something that our partners can do on your behalf. So there is a section on our website that's focused just on research-based opportunities that you can check out if that's something of interest to you. To apply and start your application for an international internship, the best place to start is by going to our homepage, which is studyabroad.ttu.edu. You see that address listed on the slide here. And from there, you'll be able to search for internship programs specifically. Once you find the program of interest, there'll be a little button on the program webpage that says Start Application. And so that's how you will begin your application for your chosen program. Now, you can only start one application in the Texas Tech Study Abroad application system. So make sure that you have made your decision before you start that application. Now, if you change your mind, that's okay. We can help you through that process, but just know that before you start your application, really work to kind of narrow down your options. So that way, once you get started on your application, you're already in the right spot and got the right program selected, and you don't have to, redo anything or things of that nature. Are we able to choose our work hours for any organization program? So this will really kind of depend on the program itself, but also your employer. So it sounds like Annalise's employer was pretty flexible and offered her, lots of opportunities to work remotely, in person, kind of pick the number of hours that are available to work, things of that nature. But not all of programs offer that same level of flexibility. It really just kind of depends. And then not all employers may offer that as well. So they may have very set schedule. They want you here at this time in this place, that kind of thing. So it really just kind of depends on the program, but then also the company or the organization that you are placed with. Yes, can I post Nikki Nordell's email? I will certainly do that. I will type that into the chat right now so that you can get in touch with her for financial aid. So again, that's Nikki Nordell, and she works in the financial aid office here at Texas Tech and is able to help students like yourself who are interested in study abroad but have questions about the financial aid that's available. So it looks like we have answered all of the questions that have come in thus far. I'm happy to stay on the session today for a few more minutes if you do have any specific questions, but maybe what I'll do is turn it over to Annalise. Annalise, do you have any final thoughts of encouragement or words of wisdom as students are thinking about their international internships?
I guess I would just say that if you're trying to decide if it's something that you want to pursue or not, I think that Texas Tech has provided its students with lots of opportunities to be able to study abroad and to choose a program that meets their interests and needs. And I think that it's definitely an experience that is once in a lifetime. And I will say that, I know that's really corny, but I will say that I had the most fun time during my study abroad. So yeah, it's just really fun and it's a really cool experience. So just, just consider it if you are still, on the fence.
Good advice. I think it's an opportunity that you may not have again, to have an international experience, to literally, pick up your life and work or study in a different country for, 3-6 months at a time. So it is absolutely something that you should take advantage of now as a Red Rater and be able to include this as your part of your time here at Texas Tech. So I'm glad to see that you're all interested in this opportunity, and I hope that you have found the session helpful today. So again, like I said, we'll stay on the call for a few more minutes if there are any other questions or comments, concerns, anything like that that you would like to bring to us. And but nonetheless, if not, you are free to go. And we thank you again for your participation today and for your many, many good questions. Thank you so much. It was so great to see all of your interest in international internships. Thank you for being with us.
Whitney,